So we're going to get the unis changed out in this tail shaft. I've already popped all the little C-clips off. These are internally clipped on the Holdens, not externally, so in there. Pried them off with a screwdriver, and we've already started knocking them out. So we take a socket, a 1/2" drive socket that's a bit smaller than the cap, and just rest it on there. There's different ways you can do it. This is just how I've done it. Then you give it a few gentle hits. This one was most of the way out already. Knocks the cap up. And then this one, you can't even support those on an open jaw in the vise. I just don't have a lot of room to be able to do that at the moment. Pop the socket there. Tap this one back. And drop all the needles out of it, doesn't matter. So when I get this one out, what I was saying the other day between the unis, like these are a Hardy Spicer uni, and they're the greasable style. So what they've got is a grease nipple in the cap, because they're externally grease nippled, and as you fill that up, it goes through the cross, and they're hollow. That's a weak point where they can fail. The Hardy Spicer, what was this one for a 6-cylinder Holden, early Holden, the 1786R. It is the non-greasable caps, and those trunnions are solid. So same uni, they just weren't drilled for greasing through the cross, which means there's more material in it and less likely to fail. Not impossible to fail, less likely. Still only a small shaft and it's not super strong, but for what this old girl is, it's fine. Now, clean a bit of this old grease residue up. And I haven't marked it, but normally before you pull these apart, you'll put a center pop mark where you take them apart, because you don't want to change the phase of that uni, because we're not getting it rebalanced, and that's how it came apart, no vibrations, and it was working that way. So now we'll take our new uni and gently pry these caps off without dropping any rollers, and then drop him in. And I normally like to try and start these caps from underneath, so that way if you're not laying it over and increasing the risk of dropping a roller. So now that's got the crucifix or the trunnion down in the rollers, so there's less chance, and you can make sure that they're not jammed and haven't dropped a roller by moving that, and it's all free. There's less chance of you doing any damage there. So now, what I'm going to do, give that a couple of light taps. Back there towards the back of it, so we're not trying to crush that down, just to seat it. Sit it on top of our socket again and tap away. And we want to go till it's through far enough to put our circlip on, and then some, so that the crucifix comes up. We can turn it over and start the other cap without dropping needles again. There we go. And we'll pop our new C-clip on. So that it bottoms out and sets the depth. So that's on. Still moves free, hasn't dropped a roller. Cap. And because we've pushed it through the unit far enough, we can start our cap without dropping it out of the top one. So there's no chance of the top needles falling out by tapping it either. Give that one a little seat. And now, we go back the other way. And we drive it through till our circlip just touches up on the inner housing. And that's one half of the uni done. That's actually got a witness mark on it from the last time I changed the unis. Lines up with that one there. Alrighty, now put that there for the moment. That should be far enough through to start our second clip. I should go get some glasses. Yep, that'll go on comfortably. A little bit more to just fit it in a little. The uni's still nice and smooth. And the clip is on. So now, just leave that sit there for a second and we'll clean this one up. Okay, so this one, just because it's a little bit easier to handle and it's small, I'm going to open the vise up so that the crucifix is supported but the jaw will go through. And one cap. And that's dropped a roller, doesn't matter. Take it that way. Let's just get that out, minus some needles. Come on. Give it another bit of a tap, get it a bit further up. Go. And that's out. Clean up our excess. And just making sure there's no damage anywhere. Okay. Looks like we're good to give it a wipe. And that one is good to go back on the shaft. Okay, so we're going to pop him back over the spider. And grab another new cap. Roll this over and do it all again. What am I doing here? Get on. There we go. Set our cap on the socket. Again, we're hitting up on that round shoulder there, so we don't try and compress the open size. And a bit of support under the yoke. And that's gone through plenty far enough to get another clip on. Roll that over. Finger's not working. And a smaller hammer. Not much smaller. Still too big. Yeah. Go get the small one. Okay. Don't want to mash my fingers. There we go. Started. And tap it home. Alright, so that one's home. Now we just got to do this last one without dropping a needle or the cap off this end. Alright, so all that's down there, we'll just give it a gentle seat. So now we're safe and send it. So that's smooth, and we should be able to get this there. Nope, got to go that last little bit. Not quite home all the way. Okay. This one we're going to have to get a better. That's it. Have had a couple of them lately where Hardy Spice, it doesn't seem to be as bad as some of the other brands, but have been getting a few unis where, I don't know, they don't seem to fit as nice as the older stuff used to. And I suppose the yokes are getting a little bit older than they ever were, but the tolerance on them is just, I don't know. By the time you get them to the point where you can actually get your clips in, they then bind up. This one's not, that's nice. And you just give it a bit of a smooth, and everything's locked in. This one, at this end, I think just needs the jaw spread a little. There we go. And that one's smooth as well. So that's all good, ready to clean up and drop in the car. Okay, so going to get the shaft into the box. That's got a new seal and everything on him. Just let that hang there for a sec. And I'll grab one of the unis. Sorry, one of the uni caps is what I should have said. So these style banjo discs run a little U-bolt and a couple of nuts to clamp him in. And those clips that we put on the cap stop the cap walking sideways in the pinion. So I'll just wind this out. And then we should be able to, and the gearbox is in park. So we'll have to turn the diff. And I'll just make sure our caps line up. And give it a little bump. There we go. Add a torch so we can see. And that spring clip, or circlip, sorry, that went over, is on the inside shoulder of the pinion flange, and it doesn't let it walk. So now, not going to fit there. Does it fit on the back side? Nope. I'm going to have to get up in the car and take it out of park, because we can't turn that to phase it to get the U-bolts in. So give us a second. Right, so it's out of park and I managed to turn the tail shaft around now, which gives us just enough room to get that U-bolt through. clears the tail shaft and goes through. We'll lightly start the nuts on it and rotate it and do the other side. Won't fully snug these down just in case I need a little bit of movement in them, but we'll take some of the slack out of it. That one there. Helped if I started doing this when there was daylight so I could see. Okay, so that's enough for now. Turn it 180. Get that last one. Goes in. And the last one. Alrighty, we'll send them home when we're done. Okay, so our uni joints are all in, tight, they're lubed, and they're nice and smooth. And we've replaced the front and the rear. The U-bolts are all tight, holding it to the diff pinion. And we've given the tail shaft a wipe and a clean down, so there's no more oil residue on it. And keeping with everything else under here, which is just tidy daily driver, we're going to now give it a bit of a, rebuild the tail shaft with a bit of black. Turning over. bit more. And we're done. Rebuilt. Ish. Okay, so let's have a bit of a walk through under here and see what we've got done this week. So we've got the cylinder head on, the head studs in and the head gasket all torqued down. We've got the engine mounts are all back tight again. The transmission's been put in, torque converter's been put in, and all the bolts are tight. The bell housing cover, lower cover, has been cleaned up and painted by Liam, and that's all been put back on. Transmission cross members all in, and engine transmission mounts done. We've done the tail shaft unis tonight, and they're all in, greased, and we've put a lick of black paint on the tail shaft, so that's all done. We're pretty much connected from pulley to diff. So no, we haven't got the headers on and stuff like that, which would have been nice. They look really good now that they've been coated, but we've run out of time. Tomorrow's Friday. I've got to get a heap more work done before the end of the week. Probably going to be in Sunday doing work in the workshop on cars for customers as well to catch up. Of course, we've got another cheerleading event for the kid down the Gold Coast again Saturday. So I'm probably going to call it quits here. Next week's video is intake and headers on, and the system on under the car. I want to do that where I've got some time to run through it with you so you can actually see it and see how nice a job the guys over at Competition Coatings did over at Archfield. It looks schmick. So we'll get all that on, all mounted up. I'm looking for a manifold gasket that I'll be happy with, because some of the late model stuff is just ordinary, but these 6-cylinder red motors had issues with trying to seal up on those faces anyway. But yeah, the other thing is the pushrod checking kit that I got from Crow. It's turned up. So yeah, so next week will be headers, intake, exhaust, and then drop it down, and we'll run through checking pushrod lengths to work out what we need there to get the right rocker arm ratio and everything. And I'll place them on order, so because that'll take Crow a week or a couple of days at least to get sent up for me. And then it's drop the dizzy in and pop the carby back on, so we can set rockers and fire it up and run it in. Run the cam in. Obviously we're only bedding in the cam and the lifters. Everything else is done 20,000 miles or so, Ks, sorry. So it's all good. So we'll run through and bed the cam and the lifters in and adjust the push rods, adjust the rockers, and then from there, rip out the dizzy, rip off the carby, and we'll do the next phase of videos on the ICE electronic ignition and Holley Sniper install. So thanks for hanging around this long. I know this has been a pretty mundane one, but it's a cool old Tory. I like them. We'll get this all up and done, and see you next week when we get to play with some pretty shiny stuff. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.